Hello everyone, I hope that you all are doing well. I am working on my latest painting, which you can see in the video here, and I had the thought to tell you all the inspiration behind this while showing you the current work in progress. So a little while ago, I got a gift, a board game called Arborea, and that should already tell you that I'm a huge nerd, the fact that I like board games. But I know that you're here for art, so I'll try and keep the board game portion to a minimum. But the basics is that in this game called Arborea, you're trying to revitalize nature. As a part of that, there are creatures that are lost to these sort of abandoned, not very healthy wilds, and you're trying to rescue them from off the board to put them in ecosystems. So you get these little tiles that represent different biomes where, you might have like a swamp or water, things like that. And you're putting the creatures in their preferred biomes so that they can start to thrive, whereas they weren't thriving at all before. One of the creatures in the game is a little animal that, well, they don't call it a Moosepiller. I thought basically looked like what I would imagine a Moosepiller crossed with a caterpillar looking like. So that gave me the inspiration to start drawing the Moosepiller, which you can see me painting here in this video. Really is basically just a really fuzzy caterpillar with moose horns. And you can actually see I've put the first Moosepiller that I ever drew just on camera here for a second. That's what I'm painting. This big purple blob is eventually going to look like that guy and be a Moosepiller. So, after I played this game and created this creature, monster, whatever you want to call it, I had thought to do a landscape painting about kind of what a Moosepiller's life would look like. Where would they live? What would they interact with? What would they be doing? So I decided that I was going to do a nature landscape, of what these little critters would look like and do if they existed in real life. And part of why I do a lot of these whimsical landscapes is because I just think that nature is whimsical and fun, and that there's all this excitement and whimsy that can be found in day-to-day life that I want to capture through my own paintings. You can see here I'm about to finish up a larger section of the foreground, which is where the Moosepillars actually live. I've got this big purple guy here, but you can kind of see the sketch for some of the other ones in the background, and they're living amongst mushrooms instead of trees, because I envisioned these creatures as, rather than being moose-sized, much more caterpillar-sized. So they are playing around, living amongst all these different mushrooms. You can see I'm starting on some more enoki-like mushrooms right beneath the big purple Moosepiller right now. But a lot of the main mushrooms that they're playing around with are these puffball-type mushrooms, the big white ones. In fact, you can see more towards the left of the painting that I've got a little guy who's hanging more upside down from one of these mushrooms. And then you also have more of the background. I've done a sunset just because I think that there's this different aura that's more magical when sunset takes place. And so I had thought, what better way to capture the whimsy of what these creatures are like than to include a sunset in the painting itself. Flying around in the sunset, I've got what is essentially my whimsical take on birds. They are these big creatures, well, not big, they're bird-sized, but they have a single big eyeball that their wings and feet protrude directly from. And so those are the little creatures you can see flying in the background. You can tell it is a work in progress. I haven't finished them yet. I've just done the first layer, but if you've seen my video for my Baba Yaga painting, I'll put another image here in the overlay so that you can see it. They're in that painting. I haven't actually thought of a name for these little guys, so if you have a thought, feel free to comment down below what I should name my creepy little birds. But I don't know how easy it is to see this in the sketch, just because it is a little bit light for the intent of the paint being able to cover up the lines. But some of the birds eventually are flying down from the background into the foreground. I even have one, that's sitting on one of the Moosepiller's horns, just showing once again how these critters are interacting with each other, giving more of a snapshot into what I envision their life or existence would look like if they were real. So that is the fun and potentially boring story about how I invented the Moosepillers and started creating a painting of them where they're living in what is essentially a mushroom garden. This has no real relation to the whole theming of nature is magical. I just like the